We begin today with two environmental disasters which have citizens near Los Angeles, California, as well as Flint, Michigan, in a panic. The impoverished city of Flint, Michigan's 100,000 residents have been exposed to water filled with lead, linked to the city's decision to take tap water from the Flint River in a bid to save money. In California, an estimated 77 million kilograms of methane gas have been released since a leak was first reported on October 23rd by the Southern California Gas Company. Now, these stories aren't getting much attention from the mainstream media, but we have you covered on both. RT's Manila Chan is live in LA with the latest on that gas leak. But let's start first with RT's Brigida Santos in our DC newsroom on the continuing water crisis in Flint. Brigida, what's the latest on this?
Well, Lindsay, in addition to declaring a state of emergency, the president has also authorized FEMA to coordinate relief efforts in Genesee County. The move comes at the request of Governor Rick Snyder. Snyder has been under fire for quite some time, not only from local residents who say he has failed them, but also from Democratic and Republican politicians. Pediatrician Mona Hanna-Attisha, who blew the whistle on this, came forward after seeing patients come in with rashes and hair loss. Because Medicare requires states to keep records of lead levels in toddlers, she was able to actually look back and compare current cases with old ones. She discovered that lead levels have since doubled or even tripled in many cases. Now, once a person ingests the neurotoxin, levels remain high in the bloodstream for about 30 days, unless you're in Flint, where exposure has been continuous. During that time, lead gets distributed to bones, teeth, and soft tissues. Young people whose brains are still developing are the most at risk of experiencing irreversible health problems associated with lead poisoning. According to census data, more than 8,600 children ages 6 and younger have been exposed to lead in Flint for nearly 2 years. These children could end up suffering from lifelong consequences, including lowered IQ, behavioral issues, and increased criminality. These problems, which began in April of 2014, are the direct result of Flint changing its water supply in an attempt to cut costs. As you mentioned, Lindsay, the city is one of the most impoverished in the nation. Rather than continuing to use Detroit's water system, which pulls water from Lake Huron, the city began pulling water from the Flint River. But the river's water is highly corrosive. So as a result, iron water mains and lead pipes eroded, which ultimately funneled these materials into local homes. Now, a class action lawsuit alleges that the State Department of Environmental Quality failed to treat the river with anti-corrosive agents, which is a violation of federal law. We will have a team on the ground in Flint tomorrow to investigate further.
All right, thanks for that. Now, Manila, over to you. Obviously, this gas leak is causing a huge problem near LA. What's the latest on that?
Right, Lindsay, you hit the nail on the head. As you said, this nauseating methane fume is continuing to spew out, impacting the local community in and around Porter Ranch. Something north of 83,000 metric tons of this stuff has been billowing up into the air since late October of 2015. Now, SoCalGas, they're the owners of this well. They've pretty much been pretty tight-lipped in terms of speaking to the media directly about this, but as of recently, they are finally coming forward to put a face to this issue. And RT spoke to a SoCalGas spokesman recently in terms of asking them what they're going to do to resolve this problem.
We have drilled the relief well down to about a 7,700 foot level. And we're in the fourth stage of this process. And in this stage, what we need to do is we need to stay parallel to the bad well, about 10 feet away, as we continue to dig down to the reservoir. Ultimately, in stage 5, in the next stage, we will actually intercept the bad well, and then through the relief well, we'll be able to undertake pumping the muds and the liquids and the cement down to actually stop the leak.
So as you saw there, SoCalGas admittedly still has quite the task ahead of them. That's little comfort, though, to the thousands of people that are being affected by this. Now, we're talking about people who have had to uproot their entire lives due to this leak. We're talking about schools that have had to be suspended or completely relocated, people having to continue to go to work. They got to earn a paycheck. They go to work and they're still feeling ill. That's not to mention the ecological impact of this disaster, the impact of a leak of this magnitude, which, by the way, is the largest methane leak in U.S. history. Now, that said, the local city councilman, Mitchell Englander, he's been pushing SoCalGas really hard in ramping up their efforts in alleviating the concerns of some of his constituents. Check out what he had to say about it.
People don't know what's going on. They don't know the long-term health impacts. They don't know what's going on with the air studies. They don't know what's in the chemical composition of what's in sort of really ruining their lives and causing these symptoms. And so getting the information was key. That was one of the first things I did. I did a series of different pieces of legislation, not only to work with our city attorney and bring the gas company to court, which we entered into a stipulated agreement for relocation efforts. But we also had the gas company set up a storefront where people can go because they were calling phone numbers that were out of state, dealing with people that weren't local and didn't know what was going on. So we set up a storefront for the gas company to come in and actually host it every single day, where they have staff on site where the folks that live here can go to get information, relocation information, reimbursement information, all of those things.
All right, so far, SoCalGas has only relocated about half of the 4,500 residents that the city has ordered them to assist. So it looks as though it's on both fronts, that they're only about 50% of the way through, both in fixing that leak and as well as moving and getting the residents from Porter Ranch out of harm's way. Lindsay?
Thank you very much, RT correspondent Manila Chan in Los Angeles and Brigida Santos in D.C.